Good morning, traders. Happy Monday. Hope everybody had a good weekend. I'm just doing some analysis this morning, trying to put some do some work and put it in the room for you guys. But we want to focus on these longer term cycles, and to create a cycle set, you need obviously data. So now that we've had some of these charts have been around a little bit longer, right? Some of these coins have been around. You're starting to get some nice longer term cycles. So obviously, as part of rhythm, being cyclical guys, that's what we'll be focusing on. But I just want to point out some things here on the best ways to time these trades and how we can use these longer waves along with the shorter waves to better time your trades, your entries, when to come out of a decent sized core position, raise some cash so that the next down cycle on a particular project or coin that we like, we can take advantage of. And so just as important on the upside to take profits and to leave some ammunition, right? So that when you do get lower levels, you can buy back in. It's really, I guess it kind of, maybe it's the hodl mentality, but taking profits gets, the art of how we take profits, I think, kind of gets lost in the shuffle. If you can make 100, 200% gain and you sell half of your position, well, guess what, guys? By the time that, if you get a 50% correction and you've taken half of your profits off, you basically can double your position now and buy back 2-3 times the amount of coin you had before because you took profits well. The person that just holds doesn't make any money on the retracement, doesn't have that opportunity to compound their results and use that down cycle to increase the amount of coin or the increase the amount of assets they have. So there's a place for having dollars in cash for sure. So I just kind of wanted to maybe take a closer look at some of this. When we look at, this is a pretty good long-term cycle now that's playing out on NEO. So I did a cycle. Well, let me back up. So I did a chart here versus BTC, and so cycles are all about turning points. The key is at the time component. It's more about a turning point than it is highs and lows, right? It's not. This isn't elementary. When the cycle is high, you should get a high. When the cycle is low, you should get a low. If that was the case, if that was hard science, price would never advance, right? You would just be constantly in a state of going nowhere, just a range trade. So that we can make highs with the low within the cycle. All right, that's called cycle inversion. You can bottom with a high point in the cycle. But the key thing I want us to pay attention to is where we are in time and when we should look for a turn. When is a good time to book a lot of profits if you have a good run up. So let's just draw some of this out. If you're looking at BTC, NEO versus BTC, I care about the direction of the market. I care about, obviously, that's the direction of Bitcoin being the major, being the lead component that's dominating the market is just the price of Bitcoin. But there's going to be times where we don't, Bitcoin really has an extreme vertical rally, and that's not a time that we want to be selling, taking profits on NEO, for example, and then just going to BTC. Because if I take my NEO off the table and I don't raise dollars and I raise BTC, well, BTC at the same time is going vertical and I have a 50% collapse, that's not helpful. But there's times where we know that BTC is low, right? If this is the price of Bitcoin, let's say. There's times where we like the market, we're buyers. BTC back at 6,000, we thought, man, this is a good long-term opportunity. This is definitely closer to the bottom of the range than when we were sellers up at 18,000, 19,000. So when we get in a scenario where we like the market and you get something like NEO that we like and it's low within the cycle, even versus BTC, that I think is a really good opportunity to where you want to put more capital in a name like NEO. Even if you like Bitcoin, I mean, if there's a place for these different names in your portfolio, this is just kind of how we want to think about things. We want to care about the price of BTC, obviously, all right? But then we also want to care about NEO versus BTC, just like we want to care about NEO versus the dollar. So we want to look at both. It's not one or the other. And so this was kind of the start, guys, of this longer term up move. Let me clear this. So pretty good cycle, right? Long cycle up. And then what do we have? Pretty long-term cycle down. And so this is a good oscillation, right? The stochastic that we use. And so when we can time that up with a longer-term sine curve, sine wave, this is powerful stuff. It's really going to help us for the timing. So this was obviously a huge buying opportunity. Do we want to be starting big NEO positions here? Because when you tie up a big position on an altcoin, right, guys, that's less capital that you could be in BTC, or that's the opportunity cost. You can't take on any other plays. So you have to figure out in your portfolio, what do I really want to commit to? And it doesn't. You can add and reduce to that size position, but there's going to be times where it's like we identified Cardano and Salt. I thought had much bigger opportunities than something like that we like Vertcoin or Ethereum Classic. I mean, we like all these other names, but identifying the times where, hey, this is really sticking out as a buying opportunity, it makes more sense to commit more capital to that name. So we don't want to be sticking in a bunch of capital into a heavy NEO position when we're high within a cycle like this, right? Because that could be high within a cycle versus the dollar, and here it's high within the cycle even versus BTC. So this is a time where you'd be lightening up on your NEO position. You really would want to be coming out of it. I mean, we've been in NEO since it was ant shares, and so taking profits on this move up was the right thing to do. And I think I remember this is a time when NEO was really on the tape, or it was basically all over the internet and the chat room for 2 days. Everybody's, I can't believe NEO. I can't believe NEO. That sucks people into the highs. That's not when we want to be heavy. We want to be lightening up into all that strength. And so if we take profits well up here, there's a place to just leave dollars, or maybe we do want to take your NEO profit and you move that into BTC if you're bullish on BTC at this point in time. I mean, this was September, so Bitcoin was still rallying. So that might have been a good time to sell your NEO for Bitcoin. But if we're at a point where Bitcoin's really extended, we don't want to sell to BTC. We need to sell to dollars, right? And then most likely going to have to sit on those dollars we want to sit on those dollars for a longer cycle down and be patient. Because then we can let these coins, we can buy 2 or 3 or 4 times the amount of coins these dollars will when we have another deflationary move back the other way. So I think you guys get this. I mean, this cycle did a really good job. Now here, once we bottomed, you had 1, 2, 3, 4-day move up versus BTC, and then the next kind of down move. And this weekly oscillation did actually a better job because it started to bottom right here and kind of helped you with buying the direction. As far as the cyclical, you had a cycle low here, and then you had a long-term cycle high. So this was a cycle inversion where you're topping on the longer-term wave, but the shorter-term wave is bottoming. But you see, it's the same turning point, right? It's just in front of this line right here. The same, pretty cool stuff though. So you you can still time your trades. I mean, if you were buying well here, you were taking profits here, guess what? You might be adding back to your NEO here, and you know that you're playing this cycle. Maybe it's still not going to be as heavy as a position here because this was a longer term cycle that we're really low. Plus, look how the RSI is very low. RSI is low here. Don't really have. We can see lower levels on an RSI to be more aggressive, So maybe this next relative strength line lines up more so with a, like a low here in August or something. I mean, now price could go on a rally and then pull back. I mean, this is about time. It doesn't mean that price is going to come all the way back to this point on the chart, guys, right? This is the cycle. The chart could stay up here, it can do all kinds of things. But we just want to time our trade a little bit, maybe on a bigger time frame, closer towards the summer here. That's all I wanted to say about BTC. And then when we look at back to versus Tether, I really like this chart. I like this chart a lot. So here's our cycle, right? This is the longer term low. This was the high. So now we have this really long term wave. And it doesn't mean we just, it doesn't mean you're long here and then you're all out here. I mean, that's just crazy to think that your timing's going to be that impeccable. And sometimes the market's going to rally ahead of the cycle, go sideways, then collapse into the cycle turn. There's, it's not about buy here, sell here. This is just, if you have a low here and I know I have a high here, then that cycle wave goes right smack over the top of the two. But what I care about from here, and this is how markets move. This is the dynamic nature of economies and of markets. So you have different players, but everything's connected. But this is what I mean when sometimes you have a longer term wave, or like gold is topping out and the dollar is bottoming. You have different cycles overlapping each other. But what I like, so example here on NEO, when we get low within a long-term cycle, we need to start saying, all right, this is a major focus. Like again, when we got Cardano down there, I was constantly saying, it wasn't like I was bullish on Cardano for one day. For day after day, for week after week. Hey, this is one of our best ideas. Hey, this looks really low. This looks really cheap. This is a name we really like. The cycles are really low. So when we get into this type of time frame, we really need to pay attention for a big picture turn, because that's what the long-term cycle is telling us. Just like up here, what is the long term telling us? Well, guys, look at these setups. So once we have that big picture frame of reference, like, hey, maybe we're about to go on a multi-month rally. All right, let's pay attention here. Right? Well, then we go in here and you can pick up the setup. So here we have an inverse head and shoulders. Right? We have a bullish engulfing pattern I teach in the model. You have a bottoming tails in here. Right? This is a real money candle here on the way back up through the 8. All these little signs, all these are the footprints of money. But now I also overlaid this more frequent daily cycle. So this is more like a monthly cycle here. And then here's the daily sine wave. So look at from a timing perspective. I mean, we're coming low within the cycle. What should we be thinking? We're low on the oscillator, pretty low on the RSI. These are opportunities to buy, right? Nibble, nibble, nibble. Take some off on the rally. Stay core long. Nibble into the lows. Bullish engulfing. Double your position, right? Maybe take a little bit off on the first initial rally up. You get a pullback, you hold halfway, boom, real money candle, I'm adding even more. Boom, you get the follow through to new highs. These are the first couple spots to start taking profit. So look at the timing on that. I'm buying here. Cycle's coming down. I'm buying. Even here, I'm buying. This is still on the right-hand side of the chart, right? This is coming up on the upside of the wave. Here, now I've got a little bit of distance. I've got some money in the trade. I'm getting closer to the top of the cycle. That's timing, good timing, taking some profit. Boom. Right here, taking more profit maybe, right? And then what do you have here? Patience. We've already taken some profit. Patience. I can just wait on a cycle to come down, you know? I'm taking profits here, right? Nail the high. I'm waiting to put the capital back to work. We get lower than the cycle. Maybe I buy there, maybe I don't. Maybe I wait a little bit longer. Look how the market doesn't go anywhere until this cycle bottoms again. And then, guess what? Now, boom, there's your rally. It's just amazing. I mean, it's so easy to look at this and say, oh, that's just, you just drew a bunch of lines on the chart. No, you got to come in here and you pay attention to actually structuring trades around this stuff. Boom. Right? And then you still, again, like, if I'm buying here, I'm keeping this core position, baby, for this whole move up. If I didn't add here, I could still add here. It just depends how I want to use the cycle. If I bought this real money candle, I didn't get much follow through, but I never took out the low of that candle. So I'm waiting. So, sometimes that happens. You have to sit through a whole cycle back down, sideways largely, right? I mean, you can buy and you could add and reduce and day trade it around too if you wanted. But you really don't get that breakout till right there, right? And now you're all up on another cycle right into the high. I mean, look how those two cycles line up, the long-term cycle and this cycle. That's just amazing. And so you launch, should be taking profits here. There's opportunities to buy this dip, take some profit into the high. These are all profit take. You can add back here, add and reduce. And then, we were taking profits up in here. This was the place to buy back, lower than the cycle. Right? Look how low the RSI is. You get a bounce. This is when the market was a little bit weaker. These last 2-3 months, overall market's weak. So maybe you just let this whole cycle. I wasn't adding to NEO in here, but then boom, we got some low cycles. We got nice RSI levels. This is the time to look for a turn. And then we've been calling for a rally on this side. So from here, this was the time to buy. This is the time to be taking some off. This is a pretty high cycle, right? Should be taking some profits here. And then we'll see. I'd like to see where NEO is closer to, can't really see what time frame that is. Where are we today? This is April 30th. So this is probably going to be towards May 19th. The middle part of May. I think that's going to be very interesting time, guys, on both the long-term cycle and this daily cycle will be low. Look at buying here, taking some off. So I have a small NEO position, nothing like I had here. And then there was times here where I was flat at different points. And then I added some back. But I think this is a good lesson, guys. We're going to be doing a lot more of this cycle work. And I want to be able to say to you guys, hey, May is our next turning point here. May 19th. We've got 2 cycles converging, and then that way we can be all over it when we get these big turning points, both on the downside and on the upside. Okay, guys, let me know how you like that. This this analysis, this video, this teaching. Just hit me up in the chat. Hope it's helpful.